So thank you for participating in the meditation. That's so wonderful. That's so great. Um, so in this moment we're going to kind of prepare ourselves for listening to uh, the talk of Joel, establishing God's realization. And this preparation we in fact already did too, by being still and by listening. And so I still want to use this time that we have for preparation to to look at certain things before we start to listen to Joel. So one of the things that comes up when you listen to the talk and when you start to be with it, so to speak, is you see Joel gives a description in the beginning of. He tells about his experiences with other practitioners, so that when in the moments that he became too busy, he had to he wanted to transfer, clients or groups to other practitioners and teachers, for them to do that instead of him, and that wasn't always successful. So one thing that happens then is it wasn't something for everyone. So some did not have what he called like the God's realization. He saw that, say, the places started with 100 people and suddenly it became empty, like nobody came anymore. So what happened then? Something like that. So he looks at that. He shares his ideas about that, and so the interesting thing for me to look at in this, in fact, is being aware of where you find yourself in this, in terms of teaching or healing or fulfilling your purpose, or becoming an instrument for healing, teaching, whatever you call that, or whatever that form will be, can be clouded. It is not, but it can be clouded by wanting to do something, So this Joel, in fact, brings us back continuously in this tape to the place like, no, not for anything, you don't have any obligation to the world. It's not that you have to save people. It's not that you have to heal bodies. It is not that you have to do this or that. Like, no, your responsibility solely is to establish God's realization. And that's not an easy assignment, in a sense. Like, that's not an easy assignment because you're in the middle of your transformative process, and there's certain steps or things occurring. You have a desire for direct communication with God, but you don't know how to do that. You don't know how to find that place, so to speak, when you start doing this. Or maybe you do, you had a glimpse, but then say a couple of days later, it's like, well, that experience is gone now. How does this work? Where exactly do we practice? How do we practice this? And Joel gives, of course, in all his talks, a lot of suggestions and a lot of practice. He demonstrates it continuously, and that's why it is interesting to take a look at how to look at what Joel is saying, because the last thing we should do is like putting it into a human frame of reference. See, it is like all this information is given, but not to hear it with your human ears, so to speak, not to limit it to ideas that you can associate with. No, what is being given and what continuously is the invitation is to say, breathe this in, so to speak, and let it affect you. So to let it talk to you, instead of that you try to make a construct out of it, or say a thought line, or something that makes sense to you, like an understanding that would make sense to you. So that is not going to help you with this process. See, that's why Joe always says, like, well, discussion, no point in discussing all this, because you immediately bring it down to a mental sphere where you're not going to hear what I say. In fact, you're not going to you don't experience grace in a mental sphere. And still you're listening with you seem to listen with your human ears to all that's being shared. But so that's why I want to bring in this. It's like a realignment, in fact. So it's a realignment of awareness that no, you're not listening. This is not going to affect you with by your human ears. No, this resonates with you from within, because you recognize truth and light that is embedded in it, that is literally shining right through it. It is not in the words that Joel shares. It is not in the books that Joel shares. No, it's say in between the lines that he speaks. It's in between the lines that he writes. It is so always opening your consciousness, opening your mind for listening to that. That's why listening is not listening with your ears, like what we did in the prayer. Listen, be still and listen. Like, be still is literally, you say this to your mind, be still. Like, don't focus on your chatterbox human mind with screamy great ideas. Or don't listen to it with an idea of, oh, right, well, that sounds really good as an investment for the future. Yes, if I do this, then my future will look a lot better too. So see all this that is being shared, say, dislodged from time and not from space. This is not going to give you anything for human purposes, so to speak. That is not its intention. Like, this is not given you to make a better human out of you, to have a bright and beautiful future. So dislodging it from time and space, it brings it also to you literally come into a focal point of now, where you become part of creation. You remember your co-creatorship with God. You remember that you are that Christ awareness is literally creating in this moment. Like, it is a fresh and new experience of you. It is made as we speak. It is literally, coming to life in this moment. And that continues, not in time. So don't try to understand what I'm saying. Don't try to bet it into, oh yeah, now I think I know what he's talking about. No, what the alignment and really is bringing you into a place where you're not, locked or limited by time and space. So literally, it's entering into the fourth dimension. It's entering into a timelessness and into an exact point of creation in the moment. And that is the Christ realization. That's where, where you establish God realization. See, and everything that we do in our spiritual practice, in fact, is bringing us closer to this present moment. We're practicing the presence. You're gonna fall into that. By this practice, you're going to fall into that, leaving behind everything that you ever thought about yourself, because it's not going to be useful in entering into the present moment. So, letting go of that. No, you have no You owe nothing to the world. You owe nothing to the infinite ways, what Joel says too. It's like you owe nothing to the infinite way. You owe nothing to your neighbor. You owe nothing to anyone. You owe nothing. So the only thing that's being asked of you is to have this as like you're determined to experience that. You are determined to experience that God is established in you. And that can only be experienced in the present moment that we call, like we have a word for it. Well, the word isn't it. So it doesn't help to say like, yes, I'm in the now, I want to be present. Well, that's great, but no, this is beyond the words that we speak. This is the actual experience of that. See, and then what flows from there, from the place, the presence, from that God-established place, so to speak, what flows from it. Say, why would you care about that in a certain sense? Why would you care about where that flows to? No, you just got rid of your whole frame of reference as you know yourself. You enter into this moment and then it extends from there. So however that's going to be, however that is extending, you literally take that with you wherever you go and carry that. So this is what I say too in reference to the doings that we so desperately want. We want to do things for God or for a spiritual awakening. And yes, I do that too. I did that too. You know, it's like, yeah, you want to do something for it. You want to do something. And not even, say, waiting for a moment to coming into establishing God, entering into the present moment. Like you can't wait to begin doing. Anyone recognizing that? Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the invitation for today. That is what Joel points back at all the time. It's like establish God realization. No, it's Christ realization. That's where everything starts to happen, if anything needs to happen, you know. So that is also like the expression of it for us, for you, for me, is very individual, how that is expressing itself. So it's not fixed that you have to become a practitioner or a teacher, or that you have to say give talks or anything. Not at all. No, it finds its way in you. It expresses itself through you in whatever form. And Joel gives some great examples of that too. So that's why I love to listen to it in a moment. So that's an essential point. So try not to listen with your human ears or human frame of reference. Don't try to associate with the thoughts that are being shared, with the ideas that are being shared. But keep yourself so open that you go beyond these concepts that you hold and think that that's the only thing that is there. So in fact it is continuously that Joel offers you an experience of beyond all this, beyond your limitations, beyond your description of what everything is, beyond your ideas about what spiritual healing is, or what teaching is, or what God's realization actually is, or what Christ realization is. You know, it goes beyond that. It's not connected to your concepts about it. And this brings your remembrance, your experience of this brings this, what Joel is sharing, to life. Not anything else. Not selling as many books as you can from Joel. That wouldn't help either. It's like, well, spread the word into the world. No, you don't. Actually, you don't. No. This starts here. You listen. You receive this for yourself. Before anything. There's no world to give this to, in that sense. There's no world. No, you owe the world nothing. I love that when Joel says that. It's like, oh yeah, that's so great. Like really wonderful. I hope we come to listen to that too. I think so, but otherwise you will have to listen to the tape one more time in its totality, or go through the transcript, because it is packed full with help, in fact, to allow an alignment in a different dimension, literally. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop right here. I'm preparing myself for the tape that I'm going to show you, and using a shared screen, so you will see it, you will be able to read. You see that the closed captioning that YouTube is giving is like not too good. It's 80% or something of what Joel actually says. So there sometimes are really different words, weird words that are chosen to. So don't even bother. And you'll when you follow this class, you have the transcript, so you can read with, if you feel like doing that. And otherwise, I would say just listen to what's being shared and enjoy that. So first, before we do that, we have a little, say, break, 5-minute break or so. Let me see what time it is anyway. Yeah, let's do a 5-minute break. So 5 to the hour. We're back here to continue with the talk of Joel. So thank you so much for your presence here, and I'm going to set ourselves up for the tape.